20.
Eileen, the recording stopped. It's starting again. So
Oh, yeah, I see that. It's off
That
again.
was sorry, that was my fault.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
we're good now.
Okay. Thank you. All right. This is the Bridgewater Open Space Committee meeting of May 16th, 2024. Meeting at the 7:04 p.m. We have a quorum. I'm Eileen Heine, the chair. The members present are Michael Sylvia and Nicole Holmes. Let's see, I think that's it. So we are called to order. I sent out the minutes for April 18th meeting. Did Michael or Nicole, did you have a chance to look at those?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll put forward the motion.
Second.
Okay, they are approved. Thank you. All right, we have some guests here today. Let's see, we have Janet, I assume. Janet, is that Janet Hansen?
Yes, and
Yeah, okay.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. I don't know if it's your mic or what. I can hear everybody else, but not you.
Okay, let me try to sit a little closer. I've had a frog in my throat for months now, so that doesn't help. Is this
That's
any
a little-
better? Is it
That's
better?
better.
Janet?
Yeah, that's a little better if you get closer.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And let's see, Mary and Pat Neary. Okay. Mary, do you want to identify yourself? It's up to you. No? Okay. All right. Is there any public comment? And these are comments that are solicited from any member of the public on an item that is not on the agenda. Any member of the public with comment? No. Okay. All right, let's move on to old business publicity, just something we've been talking about a while. Michael, do you have an update on where we stand with the town Facebook website issue?
Yes, I do. So I talked to Josh. We had a discussion and he said that in the interest of security and other reasons, Bridgewater would not like to create another instance of social media that is that it's under the town in a official capacity. They prefer that when we want to post things, we do it through similar channels that the town manager reports go through and all that, and they're trying to use that as like a point of access and information on social media. So I think that we can still execute our plan that we had discussed, which is pulling together some written posts and some photography to highlight each individual open space in the area, and put them in a document and share it with them and ask them to post on a regular basis, whenever we feel is necessary. So I would recommend probably on a Friday at like lunchtime is probably the best time. That way you get a lot of people. I would say either Fridays or even Mondays at lunchtime are usually the best time.
You need to post, Michael, to post?
Yes, to post. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Fridays and Mondays at lunchtime, somewhere around there is the best time to post. So I would say post around that time, or request that they be posted around that time, and then do it either weekly or bi-weekly. And that can be pretty standard. We can just pull some copy about each individual location. I can survey go out, get some photos, and we can also ask, people of the public if they have been out to these locations to share a photo of them at the location and stuff like that. And, have the opportunity to have people comment and engage at some level with the post. So they're not just putting information out there, essentially. It's starting a conversation. So.
All right, okay, that sounds good. Nicole, do you have anything you can share about how the tree committee handled, for instance, your Arbor Day celebration? Did that essentially have to go through that same process of going through the town manager's office, or how did that all work?
Yes, but it's like Josh will literally get it on the social channel or whatever, like within, an hour if we
Oh,
needed
really?
to.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, oh
no, it
yeah,
doesn't have to be
it's so
approved
easy.
by
Yeah.
anybody. It just needs to be like they want to post it themselves.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
have to like go through and
It
be
doesn't have to
approved
be
by
reviewed
anybody.
for content or anything. It's just
Well, I think Josh or whomever kind of
yeah,
probably
sure.
does that as they put it on, but yeah, like
Yeah.
even actually for Arbor Day, Josh was able to create a little like flyer, like an announcement. So he did that, but I think something similar, like if we provided a few pictures and a little, paragraph or a sentence or two describing where it was and what the picture is, I think it'll be super easy for them to get that on.
Okay,
I'm
good.
assuming it's gonna be on the town, Michael, the town,
Yeah, it's the Bridgewater, I think 02324
yeah,
page,
yeah.
which I think is where they post most things. And,
Yeah.
hopefully, if it's good content and, it will be shared on other pages, willingly by, the public and, obviously open space is a big part of the Bridgewater vision. to
I think
reality.
it's a great
So,
idea. I love
could be
this.
all, it could be cross-posted all,
Yeah.
all over. And I think it'll be very helpful. And
Yep.
I think, I think it'll work great. And I can pull together posts, fairly easily. They'll all follow a very similar format of, getting a photo, naming the open space, a little bit of information about it, requesting people, if you visited, comment with a photo, or, what's your favorite space, or which space you want us to feature next, or something like that. That's typically what you do to drive engagement. So.
Okay. Yeah, one thing really immediately comes to mind for me is just taking pictures of what's going on at Stiles and Hart already. Have you been down Route 18 this week?
I've driven past there, yes.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it doesn't look like much, but it's a good sign. I mean, things are happening. It's just
Yeah.
for people to see that, because anybody who drives by there is probably wondering, oh, what are they doing? And I
Yeah.
know my prior reaction would have been, what are they taking all those trees down? But now I know it's for a parking lot for a beautiful new park. So
Yep. No, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think that's a really good, very straightforward, easy one to put out there too.
yeah,
A sunnier day,
yes.
we'll get a photo out there, and I'll draft something up and share it with Josh, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Okay, great. All right. Why don't you share it with the committee too, Michael?
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. Although, wait a minute. No, we can't do that, I don't think, because then we have open meeting law issues. All right, well, we'll figure that out afterwards, how we can go about that. I would like people to see it.
Right.
But on the other hand, I know I think that's not allowed. Just an email to all committee members to look at something or review it is an open meeting.
Right, and it can't just be two people sharing
Yeah,
it. Like, I couldn't just share it with you.
Okay,
So.
all right.
Yeah, so if
Okay.
I had one, I would just maybe email it to you, Michael, and then you could kind of maybe
Yeah.
there's only one point of contact with Josh, for example, or
Right.
so we're not all just like,
Right.
crazy, but
Right.
out of schedule bothering him if other people have any, pictures they want to.
What I can do too is I can message Josh and ask him what the process
Yeah.
they feel would be best, which is, would you rather have them ad hoc or would you rather have them collated all together into one document with the photography and all that stuff?
Mhm.
You know, and you know, if that whatever works best for him. So what we can do is I can draft up some examples for the next month. This so that they're ready for the next meeting. If you want to wait until then, or if not, I can draft them up, share them with Josh, and then ask him where to go in terms of progress. He might just message you, Eileen, and have them check them over. And
Okay, yeah, that's a
that
good way to go, yeah.
I don't think that that will supersede any rules of committee at all. I think
No,
that's
that should not,
that's
no.
fair. So
Okay, that sounds good. All right, that's great, Michael.
Cool.
Then the next item on this is videos of parks. I don't know, Nicole, when I was at the Arbor Day Foundation, I talked with Jeff Fowler because we've talked about having some videos, and I know Wildlands Trust has video capability, and they've talked about doing that out at the Wyman Meadows North Fork area. But for the other towns, the other town parks, it'd be nice to have something as well. So Jeff was most willing to do that, and Michael and I are meeting with him on, when is that, Michael?
I think Wednesday at 1. I'm not sure. I gotta look. It's in my calendar.
Yeah, it's in mine too, but anyway, I sent Jeff Jeff and I talked, and then I sent him an email, but I didn't hear back from him, and so I went over to the BTV studios the other day, and he was there, and we talked for a while, and he's most interested in doing that. I know he suggested something very short, like he said, people's attention spans are really, really limited. He was talking
Yeah,
about
what
like,
they're doing, what they're currently doing kind of makes the most sense. I've been seeing a lot of it on social media. It's just like 20 to 30 seconds. Those are actually clipped, obviously, from longer videos that they have been doing, but
you're
that's what they
talking
do.
about the town, yeah, about Jeff's BTV stuff,
Yes. Yep.
particularly. Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're basically like reels, like
Yeah,
those are
that's
typically
exactly what
less
it
than
is.
30 seconds.
Yep.
Because it's great that he was helping, because the only other idea that I had is that there's many high school kids looking for volunteer work too. So
Oh, okay.
let's start with the professionals, but I think
Yeah.
that, the the kids have probably could do amazing work too.
Yeah, yeah,
So with their, even just with iPhones and such, so
yes, yeah. Yeah, especially when it's that short. It doesn't have to be, really
yeah.
um, professional. And actually, Michael is volunteered to do some of the videoing too, but I think we could, if we probably better off to start with Jeff.
Yeah.
Because,
No,
Yep.
I agree. I
Yep.
think
Yeah.
yeah, but thank you for that offer, and good idea, Nicole, will keep that in mind. And maybe what we do at some point is we get a group of kids out at one of the parks and film them, just so they can generate interest among their own cohort. Then post it wherever they post stuff and say, hey, we're at the park. It's a good place to be. So that, and we're meeting next Wednesday, Michael. I just looked at that. Yeah.
yes, Wednesday at noon.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So that's I think a good couple of good steps forward here on the publicity. Any questions about that? Anybody? Or ideas? Anybody wants to share?
Nope. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Moving on to Wyman Meadow, North Fork Preserve. I changed I'm starting to put / North Fork Preserve, because I think that's probably how we're going to want to display it in the future. I mean, it is a joint parcel that both entities, the town and Wildlands Trust, have owned and now put a lot of involvement in. So we're going to have to figure out some way to incorporate whatever signage comes out of the Stiles and Hart process. I should mention that. I think John Hart was on our meeting last time, and he mentioned that they were moving forward on Stiles and Hart with getting signage designs, and that will be the template. And I think I put that in the minutes, that will be the template for all of the parks. And I pointed out then that we just need to make sure that Wildlands Trust is going to be a little bit different just because it's a joint parcel, a joint project, a joint hiking area. So,
Right.
and speaking of Wyman Meadows, I went out there with a friend about a week and a half ago, and it was really beautiful. The mud is gone, the mud's dried up. You can park in that space again, and it was so pretty. And they have put a couple of nice benches down on the river bank. Have you been out there, Michael?
No, not yet.
No, okay, yeah, Nicole, yeah, I think, yeah, but anyway, it's not open to the public, but I figured I had the authority to go, was what I decided. But and it was very walkable, and I thought it might be muddy inside because they have had to put down additional bog boards, but it was fine. There was just a couple of places that were a little wet, so it looked really nice. The river was really beautiful, and so, but what I'm still trying to get is gravel placed on that parking lot because we don't want to open it to the public until we're sure we're not going to have a mud bog like we had a couple of weeks ago or a month ago with all that rain. And I got in the okay. Bob Ruley told me he thought it was okay for not to go back to Concom. That's the issue. Whether because the Wildlands Trust has already taken this through the Conservation Commission for the bog boards and a span bridge. But at the time, they didn't realize we were going to have that problem with the muddy parking lot. So now that we want the gravel, the first question is, do we need to go back to Concom? And Bob Ruley seemed to think no, but I want to see that in writing. I don't want us to go forward with this and not have clearance on that. And so I've contacted him a couple of times, and I'm not. I had a call with him, so he knows what I'm waiting for, but I haven't gotten any response yet. So, I mean, I assumed he was going to issue it in writing, but that hasn't happened. So I'm going to have to keep after that. But, and then the other part is the deposit of the gravel itself. And Michael Dutton told me some time ago, or he told Bob, who told me that there would be no problem, that the highway department could give us a load of gravel there and spread it. I haven't been able to reach anybody at the highway department either. Nicole, is Paul DeCosta, is he highway department or public works?
Yes, well, highway department is part of Public Works.
It's part of, okay,
It's
yeah,
part of
that's what I thought,
DPW,
but-
so he's the highway superintendent.
Okay, all right. I've made multiple attempts to contact him. I know some of them I was sending to the wrong email, but I've since corrected that, and I'm still not getting any response. And I've left some phone messages. I've thought of calling into a tree committee meeting to see if I could.
Oh, he's so busy. He's
know, yeah.
so busy. But I wonder if when you call the office, there is always somebody that does answer the phone.
Oh, there wasn't.
Yeah, so maybe try to call just even the main number. And
Oh, okay.
I do not know the woman I've spoken to in the past, but she can help let you know
Yeah.
when he might be available to talk or
Yeah,
whatever.
okay, all right. And then actually, I mean, I should make sure I have the clearance from Bob Ruley before I pin Paul down anyway, because
Yeah.
we need to make sure that that's clear to go. So,
No, he'll definitely help. I think he's just gets a lot on his plate.
oh, I'm sure, yeah. The other thing I just mentioned is I at the last meeting I noted that Wildlands Trust had applied for a grant for some signage out there, and they did not get that grant. It was for a couple of kiosks and inside the interior, and a couple of other amenities for the park, but they didn't get that. So. But they are still very interested and willing. They are happy to do park signage with us. It's just that we need to coordinate it. We don't want two sets of rules up there. We want to kind of coordinate it. And, but anyway, but that will depend on once we get the signage format out of the Styles and Hart process before we move forward on that. So. But I talked to Owen a little bit this week. I'd really like to be able to have an event in late September or so where we can announce the opening of this park and invite people out there. And I don't want to have, I don't want to have to go through another winter delaying this. I hope we can get that all wrapped up. So anyway,
Yeah, that'll be great.
yeah. All right, any questions about that? Any member of the public, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know where Wyman Meadow is? Do you care? No, okay.
I don't know where is it?
So, Janet, do you know it's on the Plymouth Street extension? Do you know where the water department property is out there?
Where?
On the Plymouth Street extension off of 104 going outside of town
Uh-huh.
to the east of town on 104, right where that big sand and gravel place
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
That's Plymouth Street extension that goes off to the right there. And if you
Oh.
go up about a half a mile or a mile, there's a road that you really wouldn't know it was there, but it goes up to water department. There are wells. There's a public water well up there.
Uh-huh.
And it's town land on the right side of the road, and it's town water department land, and it's town conservation land on the left side. And it was the town purchased it for open space in 2000, the year 2000, but nothing was done with it, and now it's kind of overgrown. But we started an initiative with the Wildlands Trust of Plymouth because they have a parcel adjacent to ours that they don't have access to because it didn't have any street access, and so they had just designated it as forever wild. They weren't going to allow any public access. But we worked on something where the town is going to provide access via our road, and they have created a trail over there. Wildlands Trust has already created a trail which partially traverses town property and then is mostly on their property, which does border the Taunton River. So it's about a mile, a little over a mile and a half, I guess. Anyway, it's a really nice area, and it'll be nice to get that open. So, all right. If no questions, I'll move on to the tree committee report. Nicole, what can you tell us? Anything new going on?
Well, since we last met, we celebrated Arbor Day. And thanks for coming, Eileen. It was a nice little ceremony, and actually a local greenhouse donated a tree that we planted as part of it, and we planted the tree in the Williams School parking lot, which is basically where we kind of held the ceremony, and recognized the 3 students who won the poster contest. They did a great job. They were 5th grade students, so they got to skip a little bit of their class and come out and join us as well. So that was really nice. But I think, and actually I don't remember if I reported out as well that we finally, after many, many years of not being designated as a Tree City USA, through the Arbor Day Foundation, the tree committee got all the, paperwork and everything back in the works. And for the year 2023, we've received the certification. So we're getting those little, you might see a few little lawn signs around town. There's one actually out on the green, and one in front of the town offices, and one at Carver's Pond. But we're getting the real signs that you see when you enter communities, like the street signs that say that this is a, Tree City. So we're ordering those. So you should see them when you're coming in from, West Bridgewater, East Bridgewater, all the surrounding towns. That will be nice. And the new signs have like a little placard that we can start to, tally either how many years we've received the award or any like additional recognition awards that we might, go towards. So I haven't had time yet, but one of my tasks is to now start digging into all the materials that come with us being Tree City, because there's lots of grants and there's lots of resources that we can tap from. So I am assuming there should be some things that could even help us and help our committee. One idea, and I think my final comment is that one idea that we talked about this past Tuesday during our tree committee meeting was that we would like to continue to try to expand Arbor Day celebration and potentially try to join, partner with Open Space Committee and any other potential committees or organizations in the town. We talked about even partnering with the Garden Club if they have interest. Because in the past they've handed out seedlings. It would be nice for us to do it all in one consolidated effort. So we're going to try to work on that for next April. And I will keep you all, I'll keep you all updated.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I didn't realize that it was the Garden Club that had handed out those seedlings years ago. I guess I thought it was our Arbor Day committee when we were a tree city, but, or not committee.
Maybe
but just
one, yeah, but haven't been a Tree City since 2006 or 2008.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
since then, I think people have been handing them out. At one point, I think the downtown, I don't know what other organizations have handed them out in the
Yeah.
past, but
Yeah. Yeah,
definitely I see on Facebook, like other surrounding towns, it's a big deal. Like on Arbor Day, everyone comes to town hall to get their seedlings, like in Middleborough and everything. They usually are out of them by noon.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good to know. So, all right. Thank you. Any questions for Nicole? Anybody?
No.
All right, chapter 61 properties. Again, I don't know. I don't have any report on this. I did, as I said, I'm sort of stumped on it, but I just need to make some phone calls and I haven't done that yet. But Hanson Farm. I don't have anything to report on this either. Janet, I assume maybe that's why you're on. As far as I know, things are proceeding according to schedule, but I haven't been out to the farm recently and I haven't talked with the folks there. So, and Maureen's not here today, and she, of course, is our representative to the Community Preservation Committee, and she, so I don't know exactly where they are in their process either, but it's kind of going through that committee now is really where the jurisdiction of the whole review goes. So, Janet, anything you want to add?
No, I'm not privy to really a lot of what's going on. That's between my husband and his brother Bob and the
Okay.
town, everything.
Okay.
So, but I saw this on, I think this is the first time I've attended one of your meetings, and I saw that Hanson Farm, but I was just curious about all the other stuff that you're going to be talking about. And
Oh, okay.
one of the things you skipped over was the hunting on town property, unless you said it.
Oh,
I
thank
couldn't
you.
hear you.
Janet, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I missed that myself. Okay, so the issue is whether we would want to allow hunting on the Wyman Meadow portion of the town property. And Wildlands Trust has decided, and I may have mentioned on earlier calls that when Owen was on, from Wildlands Trust, that they were debating whether to allow it or not. They do allow hunting on some of their properties. Great River Preserve is one example, but a lot of them they don't. And at the time, they were thinking that perhaps they should continue to allow it on this because people have been hunting there a lot. He's seen a lot of hunters come and go in his time working out there, and they've been hunting on both parcels, both the town's parcel and Wildlands Trust parcel. But apparently what he told me most recently is their board has decided not to allow hunting on their part. That's their general fallback position. That's their basic policy. And then occasionally, they've had some exceptions. One of them was at Great River Preserve because that was part of the negotiated deal to acquire the funds, I guess, and get the State Department of Wildlife involved and agreeing to it. So, but yeah, they just generally feel that it's not compatible with what they're trying to do. And his comment, and I'm still trying to find out if we allowed hunting there officially or not. John Hart reported last time that he had talked to the police chief and he was trying to get an answer and he hadn't gotten one yet. And he was pursuing that to find out if because the police chief originally told him he had no idea whether that was allowed, hunting was allowed there or not. And I also went down to the library today to try to find the reports that the landscape architect did. in 2002 or so on all of the town parklands, because Maureen Menasian at our last call suggested that we look there to see whether it at least addressed whether hunting was allowed currently or not at that time. But I couldn't find it. The archivist is still looking for me, but she didn't seem to have any record of it. And I have the other thing that I was surprised at is my recollection is those town, just the descriptions of those 6 town parklands that the NRTB put together in the early 2000s on the town's website, or first it was on the open space website, was the entire document. But now that I look at it, it's only the first page that Lauren created when she went around initially, when she first came on the committee, in order to get some publicity about those 6 parklands. She did a little blurb about what just the most basic information about the park, with a picture of the parking area, directions, and what the amenities were, that sort of thing. But that's all that's available now. There's nothing, those extensive reports aren't behind that page. And I swear they were before. I mean, it seems to me I looked at them, but I did find one of them. Nicole, are you looking right now by any chance?
No, but I will, but I was going to see if I saved them on my computer,
Okay, all right.
but
Yeah,
I will look, I'll check. Yep, I'll check
Okay.
now.
Because the Styles and Hart I did open the other day, and it was there, but all the others were not there. It was just that cover page. And so I don't know, I'm kind of confused. I don't know whether in the we had a push to get those cover pages posted on the town website, particularly under Parks and Recreation, because I had put them on our website a long time ago. Or not our page, I'm sorry, not our website, but just our committee page. And so I don't know, I'm not sure what happened to them, and I'll call Kitty Doherty at some point and see if she has any idea. I wouldn't be surprised if she has retained a hard copy. But anyhow, that's a little bit of a mystery. So, but getting back to the hunting, so that my point was that I was trying to see if the original description of that parkland and what the opportunities were for use there included hunting as a possibility, or addressed whether hunting was then allowed.
I think it might be up. Was it the Parkland report? What is up is the updated open space and recreation plan from 2016 and 2017. There's a little Bridgewater Parklands report, the intern project, which I think might be what you're trying to know, something different. Okay.
No.
And then also
in fact, that intern project, the conclusion of that intern was that Wyman Meadows should just be abandoned. There was no use for it. That there was no access. There was no
okay.
Yeah, so.
And then I see the links from all of the one pagers that Lauren created. So those are there. Yeah, those are there just for Carver, for the 6 different, but well, when you're done talking about the hunting, I do have a comment.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know why Maureen thought those were at the library, but she's out of town now, so I'll check with her. But the library doesn't seem to, I mean, the woman's still going to look for me, but she didn't seem to think. And the archive actually is only much older documents, something from the early 2000s wouldn't even be kept in there. So, and then I had a conversation with Owen yesterday and raised this with him again. And he suggested that we be very cautious about trying to prohibit hunting there because of the volume of hunters he's seen out there, that he thinks there could be a real, a lot of objection. And so, we'll just have to think about that. I mean, I don't think that's not going to be our decision to make, but we may want to make a recommendation at some point. And honestly, I don't know whose decision it is. John didn't, when John was talking to the police chief, nobody seemed to know who decides which of these properties, whether it's just a question of whether they meet the statutory requirements of the distance from residences, or what, whether they're automatically open for hunting if they meet those requirements, or whether you have to submit some application. I have no idea. So anyway, that remains an open question.
Yeah.
Janet, did you want to add something about that?
Well, like for hunting, there is, you're gonna get both sides of it, but if it's an area that the public is supposed to be able to hike, how big an area is this that you're gonna be able to, what are you gonna say? Oh, today you can't hike because hunters are gonna be there.
Yeah,
Because you can't have public roaming through it, and there's hunters, the two don't mix. At the other place that you're talking about, I do know that one side is for hunting and one side is for public, so that they're not necessarily mixed unless you venture into the wrong spot. But if you have hunting and public being able to use it as what people like to call recreation, I'm for leaving things alone, but if the hunting has to be considered as a right, so it's either going to be hunting or passive. And
Yeah.
if it's, you can't mix the two without endangering somebody. So
Yeah.
I would think the town council would be involved in, the allowing of it. I don't know how that works, but that's something to consider. You're allowing hunting. There's hunters out there now, but are there people out there now wandering around too? So
Yeah.
I don't know how big a space you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's not that, it's like about 60 acres combined. I mean, the town's area and the Wildlands Trust area.
Yeah, that's not very big.
No,
Mhm.
and then plus there's a whole row of houses along Plymouth Street as well,
Yeah.
so. And I know the work crew, Wildlands Trust has had work crews of 15 to 20 people out there, probably 4 or 5 days, and I know the first day they were out there, they did encounter a hunter. And he was actively hunting, and he told them, they better be careful because there were people out there, so, yeah, it's.
But there
yeah,
should
I know
be,
it's an
there should
issue.
be signs. If it's hunting, they have to be signs that this is a hunting area. If there's no hunting, there has to be signs, no hunting.
Yeah,
But because people can't just go hunting anywhere they want. They have to
right,
know
yeah,
that that's
yeah.
okay to hunt. If it's public land, they have to know the difference between public land and private land. And I've had issue on my property that I've discovered that somebody came on our property and, like, and cutting down trees for a tree stand and stuff. And it's,
Yeah.
that's illegal, but,
Yeah.
so there's a lot to consider when you're adding hunting to the mix.
Yeah, that is one of the things that Wildlands Trust had to do on their part of the property. They had to remove a lot of hunting paraphernalia, tree stands and things like that. And I asked him whether if that would even be feasible if the town decided it did want to have hunting on its side of the property. Did that even make sense to have no hunting on one side and none on the other? And he said that's not uncommon in the properties they have. They will also often be adjacent to another parcel of open space that is where hunting is allowed. So that alone would not be a problem. But I think the size of the parcels is probably the biggest issue. So, all right.
Yeah,
Well,
Eileen,
thank you.
I
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
that I'm concerned about starting to publicize, sending people out there if the hunting isn't clarified.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
also think we really need to immediately probably update those one pagers that are on the website. If there is hunting, to put a warning. We really shouldn't, I guess I would go out there not anticipating that I would need to be concerned about hunting if I think I'm
Right.
going to a place where I can hike in a passive way. Like I know the Great River Preserve, I think the hunting is only along like the road basically where you're in like deep woods. The open meadow area, whereas where most people come, I don't believe that hunting there, I think it's posted hunting is, prohibited there. So it seems pretty obvious, as a recreational user of open space
Mhm.
where I should go, but I'd be concerned about the new plate like Wyman Meadow. If we are gonna have this like soft launch and tell people to start going, if we don't know that answer, we should just
Yeah.
warn.
Yeah.
If we, are bringing up to Michael and, maybe it does need to be a town council decision like Janet
Right.
suggested.
Yeah, and well, we were talking about a soft launch in, late September, so yeah, we should definitely be able to get that resolved before then.
Yeah, and doesn't open season start what, first week of November? last week
I
somewhere.
don't know, I remember looking at it last year and it's so confusing. I mean, the rules, it's like, you can hunt certain things at certain times, certain animals and then others, and sometimes it's certain size parks. Some of them it's allowed in one size park, but not in another. It's not an easy thing to decipher.
Right, right. And bow and arrows or guns or,
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think bow and arrows start earlier
yeah,
for turkey season or something. I don't know, right, but yeah. so,
too many variables. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, all of this just kind of points, it's so hard to get answers to some of this stuff and nobody seems to know, people you expect would know, don't, but, okay, I think that was it, that we went back to hunting, yeah, okay. Thank you for reminding me of that, Janet, I did really want to talk about that. Okay, anything else on that before we move back to, I think we're moving on to Lake Nip?
Yep.
Okay. So there's really not been any movement on this in terms of the review. I think if you'll look at the minutes from the last time, the decision had been issued by the planning board approving the project with some conditions. And then it's gone to the Concom now. But the way I understand it, and this is from Pat Neary, who can bring us up to date, is that the Concom is ordered a private consultant, or they've ordered a consult from another planning firm, engineering firm, to look at the project and go over questions like the trees and what trees can be retained, et cetera, and what a tree plan would look like. And that until that comes back, there's not going to be any additional public review. There won't be any review by the Concom until then. And so we talked at the last meeting about it made sense to see that final consult report before we make comments, because we would essentially be making comments on that, is my impression. And I will ask Pat Neary to weigh in here if she has any updates or different views.
Well, it is continuing to go through conservation. I don't know the status of the third-party review at this point. I don't know if it's in process or if they've even started, or if one of 3 suggested engineering firms have been selected. But we might find that out at next Thursday's Concom meeting. It's on the 23rd. And the Lake Nip people that are trying to keep an eye on the development are primarily concerned about, the hotel is sitting, a portion of the hotel is sitting in the wetland setback. And we don't think that should be allowed in an area of critical environmental concern. So there are a lot of issues, but I suspect it's going to keep going for a while with Concom. I hope they don't just settle it right away.
Yeah. Pat, I did look at the planning board decision.
Okay,
And one of the conditions, I think that they're requiring the 80-foot setback from the road.
right, yeah,
That's, I think that's a concession by, well, I mean, it's not what the developer wanted, right? They wanted to stick with the 50, is that correct?
I'm not sure. I thought they had to comply with the 80. They are supposed to have a landscape plan and go back to the planning board, but I haven't seen that happen yet.
Okay, all right, well, maybe I was just misremembering, because I was thinking that it was only 50 was the requirement, and that's what they were proposing, and that the planning board, somebody was talking about 100, and I thought maybe 80 was a compromise, but it's, you know more about this than I do, so maybe 80 was what was required under the,
I get confused. There's so many
Well,
details.
The planning board thing has been a long time ago. It's been on, they kind of went through it quick and said, oh, we don't have to, they made it into being a site plan and not more than what it should be. So
Right,
that was
yeah.
controversial. But there's a lot on there, that property that needs to be looked at, and that's what the battle is. And so they did get it so that they're having a third party review of the stream and everything. But my understanding is there's three, but Claremont is supposed to be the one to pick the one that they
Right,
want. I think is kind of not right, that, he's picking out of the three, so I think it should be a neutral pick. So I don't understand that. How can he still pick
yeah,
the one to review? But that's big controversy, because they're gonna be cutting a lot of trees. They want to cut trees unnecessarily. And it is in the 100-foot buffer. That whole thing wouldn't be not a problem if he had moved it up
right.
to a different spot, but he does want to try to squeeze in as much as he can in that area, and that's what the issue is, because it is an area of environmental concern, and there's so much affecting. It's just sad to see it.
Yeah.
It's an uphill battle all the time.
Yeah.
So that's what I
My
know.
understanding, I think from, well, Pat told me, you told me this, I think that one of the consultants, or one of the independent consultants that was one of the three options, is one of their tenants in the building out there now. So, yeah, it seems like a pretty,
That was originally, and after that, the Concom required or requested that they choose from three that the Concom proposed.
okay, I didn't realize that, Pat. Oh, good, thank you, all right.
Yeah.
So that's
That
a
is
small
really
improvement.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, when one is selected, we should, perhaps we can recommend that the town forward along our comment letter to
Right.
consider
Okay.
as part of their review.
Yeah,
All right,
we keep
yeah.
trying to keep up that letter, Paul, because it was so good.
Oh, you were breaking up a little bit, Pat. What did you say?
I said, we keep trying to bring up that letter because
Oh,
it's so good.
yes. Please.
Well, I wonder, I mean, it seems like they would want the developer to look at a lot of those comments. I mean, like the Taunton River watershed comments were really,
Yep.
really good too. And they
Yep.
were way back at the beginning, and they only made one comment letter and then didn't do it any more. But that was really, really good. I mean, somebody
Those
very
letters, all those letters went to the planning board, and
Yeah.
we don't have that same situation with the Concom. And also, planning board was publishing all of the letters. Concom is not doing that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Concom received them, right?
They receive them, but they don't post them,
Yeah.
on the website like the planning board did, which was very helpful.
But Concom didn't see, unless they were submitted to Concom separately, they wouldn't see the letters that went to the planning board, would they?
That's right, they would not.
So all those letters that were sent over the last 2 years now or so, they won't see Concom will not see them unless they're resubmitted.
Oh,
Yep, that's right.
did we lose our chance to get our letter sent to Concom?
No.
I think we should, like, right away, so that it can, and also request that they provide it to the peer review engineer.
Can you
Okay.
do that again now? Because the hearing is still open with Concom.
Yeah, I think you can. I'm assuming you can.
Oh, yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
we can definitely, I mean, the only thing, Nicole, I'm wondering, was some of it, I mean, I think it would be worth looking at to see if it's all still relevant.
Right.
Because partially, some of the questions you raised, I know they had specific answers to, how valid they are, but remember the aquifer issue? Like whether impermeable pavement was an option.
Yeah.
Permeable pavement was not allowed in an aquifer, they said, an aquifer zone, and so that they said was not even feasible for this site.
Yep.
So a couple of things like that, might be worth trying to update.
Yep.
Or because they're the same comments that to some extent have been addressed either well or not.
Well, I
And
think, yeah,
yeah,
they just said you can't do any of it, but
yeah,
I think the major point was that the more you sprawl,
yeah,
the more stormwater you need to manage. And so cutting down several more acres of trees to manage stormwater because of the several
Yeah,
acres of
yeah.
sprawling pavement is just not best practice and not what most developers are doing,
Yeah.
you know, when we are, you know, we have sustainability and understanding of climate change and all of these other things. So it's really too bad.
All right, Nicole, can you take another look at that and just see if
Yeah.
there's anything offhand that you think you could update, or
Yeah.
if not,
That'd
I will go ahead and forward it to Concom, but,
Yeah. that'd be great.
Okay.
okay. Anything on that? All right, well, those are the two items I had: Conservation Committee continuance and Planning Board conditions. So were there any other Planning Board conditions, Pat, that are worth mentioning or that were good news?
Well, other than the fact that they have to come back to the planning board with a revised landscape plan, and I'm not sure what other requirements they wanted them to come back. But that, none of that has been scheduled, so I'm
Yeah,
anxious.
okay. Okay, all right, well, yeah, so, yeah, I guess I missed that part, so that, yeah, so the planning board will have another chance to look at it too, that's good.
Right, and I'm grateful that you folks are staying on this.
Me,
I
me
guess-
too. Me too.
I guess, Pat, I'm wondering, I feel like I heard something about some mitigation funds being collected from that development, which would
Yeah,
imply that there's been an agreement to the amount of trees to be cleared.
Carney has offered $25,000 for tree
Okay.
removal. And I'm not sure if that's solid or if it's just a proposal. I mean,
Okay.
you know, our tree committee is always happy to get the funding, but I don't want to encourage that practice.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's kind
I think it
kind
is
of
in the
ironic.
planning board decision, isn't it, Pat? I think there's some reference to that.
The planning board, yes.
Yeah,
That's a new procedure or a recent procedure that they're following. But we are working on a formula so that it's not just a suggested amount.
yeah,
We-
yeah,
We will have a formula in the future so that a developer that needs to cut certain amount of trees, they'll have a number and size of trees or acre or whatever
mhm.
that's established, not something that somebody throws out a number and somebody else says, okay.
Yes, right, yeah, we'll take it. Whatever you'll give us, we'll take it.
Right.
But I always, this is Janet, I always wonder about that, okay, they're gonna cut all these trees and then, we'll appease the town by paying 25,000 for you to put trees somewhere else. It just seems so ironic or so, I don't know,
Out of
doesn't
balance.
seem right, you're cutting trees and saying, okay, you can plant somewhere else, but where they want to cut trees, and now they're saying, oh, they'll save a few trees that would be okay, but they're not really saving, they're gonna have somebody mark a couple trees here and there to save and not
Mhm.
cut them fully, but the point is they don't need to cut the trees for the hotel.
That's right. Yeah.
That is,
Right.
that is the biggest thing, and they're not saying why they need to cut those trees, and that's what I think
Yeah.
the planning board's got to say, no, you can't cut those trees, but they want visibility. Well, if they want visibility, then move it up closer to Lake Shore Drive and leave the wetlands alone, but so there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
and you have to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody pointed that out during one of those hearings, is that basically they want to cut them because they intend to put something else, they intend to build something else out there. But
Yeah,
they're
but
just
not for 5 years,
they're not
oh,
saying
we're not
that now, yeah.
doing more for 5 years, but
Right,
you can't cut something, and even Mr. Driscoll said, you can't cut something if it's not to do with the project, it has to be something that is part of that project.
Yeah.
You can't do it ahead, so they're trying their best, so we'll see.
yeah, all right.
But one
Yeah.
of my comments has to do with stormwater management is that if this sits as a field for 5 years and then they decide they want to develop it, their stormwater design got way easier because you basically have to match your existing condition, and a grass field generates much more runoff than a wooded
oh.
lot, so you can do less stormwater if you go from lawn to paved compared to woods to paved.
Oh, my goodness.
It's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah, can you put that in your letter, Nicole?
I think I
That'd be
had something to that. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's what I'm just
Well,
letting you all know that that is
But yeah, but that's really interesting.
Nicole, similarly, but a little bit different from this subject, might be of interest to the tree committee. Did you see that they took down 3 pretty mature trees on Broad Street this week?
Right.
Yes, we were notified, unfortunately, and immediately responded to please hold until we can meet and discuss alternative options, and then we learned they were already gone.
Yeah,
Right.
they were, I drove by probably, I, I don't know, was it Tuesday?
It was Tuesday or Wednesday
It
morning.
was Tuesday,
They were
I
gone.
drove by and they were like already like almost gone at
Yeah.
like before lunchtime.
Yeah.
So,
So if you walk around Central Square, you see these big mature trees are buckling up the sidewalks in many places.
right,
In some cases, those trees have come down, but in
Right.
some cases, such as where that was, I guess they were really bad and someone was injured. So it was very much a safety concern.
got it.
But what I have been trying to collect and forward along is we don't have any other areas besides, I'd say, Central Square and that Broad Street area that have sidewalks and street trees that are more like a city.
Right.
So what I've been trying to forward is all of our work that for my job that I actually get paid for, that we've been doing in Boston and, New York City and Washington, DC, where there are current techniques that you can save those trees. There's basically like this
Right.
rubberized, the flexi pave. And you
Yep.
can basically pave it all over those trees, but the water goes through and it's able to like keep the roots, and there's things that could be done that have never been done in Bridgewater because we don't really have city sidewalk street tree conditions, but
Right.
hopefully I'm gonna try to help get share some of those details from Boston and what
Yeah.
they're doing. And, it's not only the repair situation, it's also when you're building the sidewalk. When you're
Yeah.
rebuilding a sidewalk, that's the time. There's new techniques where they use engineered soils that go under the sidewalk panels. So they are structurally viable, that they're like holding up the sidewalk, but they also have a ton of void space so that the roots can actually grow and live under the sidewalk too.
Right.
So the problem that is happening now, because we've got these huge mature trees and they're, but they don't have anywhere else for their roots to go. That would solve that. And that is all coming out of like work that like Casey Trees started doing like 25 years ago in Washington, DC. And most, cities have adopted that. So
Yep.
I'm
I've seen that
gonna
in
try to
Newport,
help.
I've seen it
Yeah.
in Somerville, I've seen it in Cambridge,
Yes,
I've seen it in
yes.
Boston. I'm very
Yes.
familiar with that rubberized, substrate.
So my whole email went out, but we learned that when we thought the trees were about to come down, and then we learned, sorry, they just came down 3 hours ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicole, who makes those decisions? Do you know what the bureaucratic process is for that?
DPW. Yeah.
Yeah, in this case, it was serious because of like insurance claim, like
Yeah,
it
right,
was
yeah.
a very much a safety issue. So
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I don't think
injury.
time was there was just concern about risking having them
Yeah.
up any minute longer, basically, for some
Yeah.
reason. But
What a shame.
yes,
Yep.
it is, because we really do have a nice canopy around the Central Square
Right.
area, but
Yeah.
it is fading because we keep losing trees in the storms and, they're not replaced. And then
Yeah.
we lose them because they're, not safe anymore, and then they're not replaced. So we've got all these missing teeth that need to be replaced.
Right, right.
And then, of course, if any of the restoration, not what's the term? The big plans for
The big plans
rejuvenation
should
or
help
whatever.
with that.
Yeah, right. If that becomes any kind of a reality, some of that probably would need to wait until some of those plans were finalized too, because to
Yes.
do some of that now would probably be premature because there's things in the works for that.
Yeah, I would
Or as
agree.
part of the plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could potentially be part of the plans.
Right,
If
exactly,
we're making a more walkable, enjoyable city and there and a place to be, people are gonna want to be places that have, green spaces that are open.
yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure that Mr. Rulli would absolutely love knowing that we are now we're officially a tree city and or tree town, tree city, whatever it is. And because I know he loves grants, so I'm sure that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we
I
will
hope-
definitely be
I
able to
hope
get
you're
more
right.
grants from that.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to move on to the next item unless anybody has anything more on Lake Nip.
Nope.
No, okay. All right, so our Ironworks Park celebration is the 21st at 11 a.m. If anybody wants to come out for that. I'm going to be there. Michael, I think you said you'd be there?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be there.
Okay.
I have it on my calendar.
I mean, obviously,
Anything that comes up
it's a
work-wise.
ceremonial thing, but I'm kind of there. It's really not finished down there at all. You don't really get a sense of what they're doing to the riverfront at this point. At least I couldn't see from my couple of pass throughs there. So I think it's definitely still a work in progress, especially the park side of it. The bridge is done, but I'm not sure how complete the rest of it is. So it might be a chance to hear about what the final plans will be for that area.
Yep.
So okay.
And tell me again what it is, Eileen.
When is it? It's 11 o'clock on the 21st, May 21st, Tuesday, at Ironworks Park.
Okay.
And while I've got Pat Neary's name up here on my screen, I sent this out to all of you after the last meeting, but I'm going to mention it again, is Pat Neary was named Rotary Citizen of the Year this year from Bridgewater for all of her environmental work. Yay, Pat.
Hooray.
Yeah.
Congrats.
That was for tuning in on the open space.
Yeah. Yeah, I was asked to write up something about her, and I did. And one of the things was she's the only member of the public who attends every single one of these open space committee meetings.
True.
And
If I'm out of town for a couple weeks or something traveling and I need to come back and get up to date before the next meeting, I have to call Pat and find out what happened at the planning board, what happened at COMCOM, what happened at town council, and she brings me up to date. So.
Oh, I thought you had to make up a bunch of stuff.
No, it's all true. All right, so new business. So I'm thinking of moving this, see if we can get together on Tuesdays, the third Tuesdays at 2 o'clock in the afternoon rather than in the evening. Couple of reasons.
Eileen, I'm sorry, I think you meant the Thursday, right?
What did I say?
Tuesday.
Oh, I meant Thursday.
We're gonna do
yes.
yeah.
Yes. So same day of the week and same day of the month, but at 2 o'clock in the afternoon instead of seven, because Nicole often has trouble meeting the 7 o'clock meeting times with taking her kids around to different places and all the other things she has going on in her life. And Michael and I and Maureen are all flexible and we can all do it at any time, and 2 would be fine. And Lauren could not, but Lauren is not going to be renewing her term anyway. I think she's going to try to be at the June meeting. And I will check with her about whether she could do it at 2, because maybe her school schedule is different by then. If not, I just need a confirmation from her. I mean, I would like to have the last meeting at a time she could meet, her last meeting. So whether or not we have it in June at 7 or 2 is still an open question. But thereafter, we will go to 2 unless, and I don't know why I don't think there's gonna be any objection from any of us, so. And I don't know of any other conflicts or anything. Yeah, I see, yeah, Janet says the only issue is the public can't do it, but because of working, yes, I understand that. But, we really have, very few members of the public usually attending this meeting. As I say, Pat Neary has been the one most in attendance. We've had a number of the Lake Nip people who have been in attendance because of this particular project. But other than that, we've not had a lot of consistent participation by members of the public. So I'm more concerned about being able to have Nicole be present for all of our meetings, or at least most of them, than members of the public who just haven't really been participating that much. So, but thank you for that comment, Janet. All right, so that look for the next. I'm going to have a conversation with Lauren and just try to pin her down one way or the other, whether she thinks she can be at that last one or not, and if not, we'll move it to 2. Oh, the other reason too is before the last meeting. You guys didn't hear the discussion. It was just me and Josh. Nicole, when I listened to your last tree committee meeting, I was sort of annoyed to see that Josh is doing your minutes, and I thought,
Yeah.
yeah, so we've had a committee for 4 years. I've done all the damn minutes all this time, and now tree committee comes along and he's doing their minutes. And part of the reason is because it's your meeting of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And of course, the other reason he gave was that he's been working very closely with you on the ordinance and stuff, so that a lot of the meetings. But honestly, I mean, I've listened to quite a few of your meetings, and I haven't heard him participating a lot. It's been. I mean, he seems to be there to take minutes. So anyway, I expressed a little annoyance about that, like, and he said, well, we're pretty short staffed, blah blah blah, but he would look into it. So, but then this issue about meeting at 2 rather than 7 came up. So that's another arrow in my quiver to suggest that
yeah.
perhaps we should get the same treatment. The other thing that I've been noticing, and maybe I'm just being overly sensitive here, that open space is being treated as a second-class committee, is I don't know if the notices don't go up on the calendar. That when you pull up the agendas and it's got that long list of when every committee is meeting and what date, open space wasn't up there at all this time. It hasn't been before, and I've called him, and then it does go up, but it wasn't up there. And it doesn't have it should be up, like it should have been up for every Thursday going forward, because all of the future meetings are shown as well, and we were not. And then I also wasn't able to get the video. The video wasn't posted. All of the meetings after ours, right up through early May, were posted on the town website, and I use those to do the minutes. So I couldn't start the minutes on Sunday because I couldn't find that thing, and I had to wait for Josh on Monday to get IT to post it. So I was miffed about that too. So anyway, I'm vying for more respect for the open space committee. But
Appreciate
okay,
it.
Yeah. It would be nice if we had a budget too, but we can't ask for too much.
yeah, I know, no, right, I know. All right, Summer Street plans. Okay, okay, this is, all right, so did everybody have a chance to look at that recording?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I submitted my personal comments, and I know Lauren said she submitted comments too.
I
but
did too. Yeah.
Okay, did you, Michael?
I did not submit.
Okay, well, you
comments.
will,
I
right?
do have
Okay.
comments.
But I wanted to submit comments from us as a committee as well. So,
Oh, no, I did submit comments. Sorry, I did submit comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, individually I did. That's right.
okay. All right, well, so I'd like to get a sense of what we want to submit from all of you as Open Space Committee comments. So I will refrain from offering my comments till everybody else speaks. I hope they're sort of the same.
Nicole, if you want to go first.
Yeah, Michael, what do you have to say?
Okay, I'll go first then. So I actually think it's a really great use of the space. I think that a third place is desperately needed, or a third place is desperately needed in the area other than the Central Square, local businesses, libraries. I really think it's a great idea. I think it'll be a great use of the location. Obviously, it was an old gas station, so there's pretty much very little that you can feasibly do with the space. So, light rejuvenation of the building and some adjustment to the terrain to, I think, option one was my favorite, the one that was kind of like a theater style seating so that it can be utilized by people to sit out, or if students want to go and work there, or if a professor wants to do an outside class or something like that. I know the art building over on Bridgewater at BSU is literally walking distance to that. And I know that there's always probably outdoor drawing classes and stuff like that. I think it would be a really excellent use of the space. And especially with the infrastructure upgrades and, adjusting the crosswalk area down there, adding a wider sidewalk. I think that it's a really excellent use of the space for the cost of what it's going to be and how it's going to be utilized. Yeah, I think it's kind of a win-win without, knocking down and starting from scratch. And it's, very light. I'm sure this isn't my expertise, but obviously existing structure, there will be renovations, I'm sure, electrical, plumbing, a lot of stuff will have to be brought up to code. But other than that, the existing facade exists, and then they want to add that transom or whatever it is outside and sitting areas. So I really think it's a great use of the space and very, like I said, great third place for folks to have to go, because I think that there's a want and a need for that in the town.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Nicole?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I really loved it as well. I think building on maybe some of the suggested comments, like I also agree that it just seems to be a really nice, like different place to have, like a variety of choices to kind of meet, especially like a little bit more of an intimate setting to meet, so having little nooks where people can read or, have a coffee together. So it seems like even though it's small, it seems like it was already part of the landscape architect's vision to sort of do that anyway. I thought it would be a great idea to bring in a little bit more kind of naturalized vegetation, because we do have, the square itself, especially with this whole plan, will be more like a green, the traditional downtown green with trees. So I thought that maybe we could use like a little bit more native, and not necessarily even have too much open, lawn per se. There's plenty of other places for people to throw frisbees and things. It seems like using more natural vegetation, but spots to, there are, other town centers that have little places where you can have, cribbage boards or checkers or, different like lawn games.
Yeah.
Those big Connect Four games and stuff like that. So it could kind of be part of like more of an active gathering place, and then have a little quiet areas where people could kind of be, have a little bit more privacy. And I think those plantings, obviously safety and maintenance will be major questions, but I, would love to see all of that. And I think that was mostly my, mostly my comments. I also, wonder too, if they should plan for at least a little pull off or a way in which maybe even just like a small food truck or ice cream truck or something could kind of pull into. So that was my
Yeah,
comment.
that's-
And they already have a curb cut, so it wouldn't require, any more, transportation permitting. So I think the long run, it's really gonna be, even if the funding is brought forward to build it, my concern would be upkeep and not letting it just, be, potentially vandalized, but also just kind of get pretty decrepit pretty fast if we don't have the proper staff or funding to maintain it.
Yeah,
So,
will there be a caretaker? That was something I would wonder too, is
Yeah.
there be a caretaker?
It would
Because if
have-
it's gonna be if it's gonna be a space that, is going to be, opened and closed at certain hours and whatnot, is there gonna need to be a park warden or somebody who's gonna need to go and close it up at a certain point, or,
yeah,
how is that going to work,
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting point.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, I think, yeah, that was I think one of the comments I made too is, yeah, just, yeah, how is it gonna be maintained? And,
Yeah.
it just made me think too, that comment you just made, Michael, I'm a member of the Unitarian Church right across the street from that. And there's an issue with some, homeless people just sleeping under we have an open area that's a kind of a patio, and there's a park bench there. And so there's definitely, there's people that hang out there. And so I'm sure on something across the street like that, a public space, they'll have the same issue. But
Yeah.
that's, yeah, so, but I'm hoping because it's so visible, and they are putting money into it, I'm hoping that, we're not gonna fall back into this pattern of just letting all these public spaces deteriorate. And I wonder if there's any chance that the Bridgewater Improvement Association might have a role in it, because they're the ones who keep up that Flora T. Little Park next to it, which always looks beautiful, so.
yeah.
But anyway,
Or
my
the
comment.
campus, since it is adjacent to the campus in a very major way, if
Yeah.
not like 99%,
Yeah.
like inside the actual bounds of the campus.
Yeah, so, but, I got a little worked up when I saw the grass. I just, one of the comments was, no more grass, we don't need a green grass like that has to be watered, and it's gonna be fertilized and bug sprayed, and that's like the last, using your comment, Nicole, I said that was a 20th century landscaping plan in my view. And yes, let's vegetate it with grasses, native plants, bushes, low bushes. And also I thought that was critical too, to screening it from the street. I mean, that's a nice picture, but we all know that what that picture looks like 75% of the time is it has a giant truck in front of it going by, and it's noisy, and they create air pollution for people sitting there. And I mean, the more vegetation you can have, I think shielding people who might be sitting at benches or playing games or whatever they're doing in the back area, just to create some kind of a natural boundary. I mean, obviously they can't be too tall, because I think it probably needs some visibility, but there are lots of things that could be planted. I mean, I'm thinking of like outside of South Station. I don't know if any of you've seen that park, the beginning of the Greenway there. There's a wonderful vegetable garden, like a wild outside vegetable garden and I don't think it requires a lot of tending. It's just it's no different than planting flowers, every year or something. It's just they've got herbs that are growing, and just it's greens of different kinds, and there's just so many nice wild grasses that just look graceful, and yeah. So that was my main comment, is it just needs to be not grass, and especially because the Flora T. Little Park is very grassy. And I guess one thing I'm not sure about, and I didn't comment on this, but I'll have to pose the question to somebody, is I don't know what that Flora T. Little property is maintained. I think, as I said, I think by the Garden Club, or the Bridgewater Improvement Association. Pat, do you know?
I do not.
Oh,
No.
okay. And and that has a lot of grass. So there is a grassy area for people, you know, if people want to sit in the grass or so I think this other area doesn't call for grass in that, to that extent or at all, really. So, and, you know, maybe a little path through it up from the street. I don't remember exactly what the access was. That's a nice wall they have, but maybe there should be some access in the middle of that wall so someone doesn't have to walk all the way from one end to the other. Anyway, those were my comments. So, all right. So what do we want to submit on behalf of the open space? It sounds like, you know, Michael, you were overall positive, as was but I didn't express that. I mostly when I saw the grass, I just got all worked up.
Yeah, I would say we're overall positive. I think
Yeah.
I think it's a great use of the space. It's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
great
yeah,
utilization of the area of the you know, reuse of an existing structure, all that, you know.
Mhm.
It comes down to the details, the devil's in
Yes,
the,
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
is
And I
there
think
going
just
to,
pointing out the proximity to the green, you know, that
yeah,
this could provide a little bit of a different, little different character if it, you know, if the planting could be more, a little bit more naturalized and there's a little
Yeah.
bit more smaller scale places for people to hang out.
right.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
know,
more of an extension of the green than
Yeah,
its own separate space in some ways.
that's a good that's a good
Yeah,
point.
I
So I think
never
we,
really think of that, but I'm thinking, remember that the time you and I had coffee out there, Nicole, in front of on the green. I
The
mean,
rest-
you know, the traffic there is so bad, so that really would be a nice place to be able to walk to, you know, although the traffic's gonna be bad there too, but maybe it's a little more removed. It's just, it's
it
not
will
right on
be.
the corner there.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
Oh,
It's
it'll be
yeah.
way back from the street compared to you're literally like, yeah, I got a bumper 5 feet from you when you sit at the Restoration Coffee, and that's too bad. For
Yeah.
now, anyway, not
Yeah,
soon.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, and so more naturalized, I too like the architecture. I thought that whatever that floating roof thing was nice. But again, I
Yeah.
think we ought to probably, I mean, we'll be positive, but we ought to focus our comments more on things that are unique to us, as like probably not the architecture per se, but yeah, the landscaping and
Something I did comment on in mine that was not overly positive, but again, did not fall in the line of our comment was with the increase in extreme weather
Yep.
that we've been having, rain, wind, microbursts, you know, hurricanes, hurricane force winds, whatever substrate that transom is made of, is it going to be easily damaged by fallen tree limbs or things like that, or is it something that's going to be more durable, like like a metal roof or something like that, or is it going to be acrylic or glass or whatever? You know, those are, you know, questions to ask and
you know,
consider.
oh, go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry. I didn't-
No, that was it. That was it. That was
The
literally
other
it.
thing, Nicole, that this brings up to me is I think on one of your, I don't know where I brought this up, but the need for trees in the old cemetery there, that there's so many of them that are decrepit and falling
Yeah.
down and nothing is being replaced. And that now if we have this nice little getaway park on the opposite side of Summer Street there, be nice if there was something to look at across the street that was pleasant, other than dead and dying trees.
Yeah, that's a great
You
idea.
know, so
Yeah.
maybe like
Yeah.
a wall of some kind of flowering trees along the cemetery, so that when you're at the park, you're looking out at them, so.
Yeah. That would be a good recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just did more, more natural vegetation, more trees.
Right. Yeah. Okay, all right, anybody from the public want to comment on that? Not that your comments will be included in our comments, but.
I would like to comment that the Floritude Little Park is going to have a lot of passive recreation. I mean, a lot of sitting areas. So, because that'll provide, you know, a lot of quiet space that you might be thinking about for the other area. There's nothing that's going to be other than relaxing in the Florida Little Park area, they're planting trees and having what is that called? The sensitivity area?
Oh,
For,
right, yeah, yeah, people with sensitivities or something.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And, so that
Oh,
the gas station can have a little more life to it. And I
Yeah.
do know that they had talked about food trucks over there, which is a great idea.
Yeah.
so
as long-
then, yeah, then definitely the games then seem to go hand in hand. Pat, where's the other park that you're talking about?
the
the
Florida
little-
Little, it's the right next to the gas station.
Yeah, that's the one I mentioned too. Yeah, that it's between, so it's the gas station, then there's a vacant space, and then there's a big old white house to the east.
Oh, just that little like grass grove.
right,
Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Sorry. Yeah, I
They're-
didn't.
They're doing pathways and benches and,
Oh, okay.
So
you know,
more of an extension from the center of town. So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
True.
sense.
it's always been a very quiet area and not even used,
Yeah.
I think, because there's no parking there. And now
Mm.
with the gas station, there might be at least a couple of spaces.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
And-
okay.
And they're also hoping to be able to make it handicapped accessible so that, these pathways will be wheelchair friendly.
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
okay.
Yeah. Actually, I've got to look at that. That really reminded me. I'd like to look at the images again, Pat, Eileen, because I'm wondering about the terracing that was shown. I we should probably recommend that no matter that basically it's inclusive for everyone to be able to get anywhere. We
Yeah,
wouldn't want to have stairs or places that you could only get to by stairs.
yeah, and there is quite a decline there in the
Yeah.
landscape.
So maybe she can think of a way to kind of have have an interesting way to sort of be able to ramp around and get up
Yeah.
to that same point.
Yeah.
But I
yeah.
don't think we'd want it to be, I'm assuming we want a town-owned space to be inclusive for everyone.
Sure. Yeah.
It'll have to be
Especially
similar
newer
to what they did in
ones.
front of the water department where it has the ramp go in kind of an L motion where it goes up like
Yeah.
this, up like
Yeah.
that. Cause that's too steep of a grade for it to be
Oh, right.
Yeah.
for, because that's what they have to do. I think when there's a certain grade, it can only be at a certain degree, so.
Yep, yep. Now, the
Nicole, what-
landscape architects are really good at hiding that into the, into the
Yeah.
design, so I'm
Yes, they
sure
are.
she probably thought about it, but we should comment just in case.
Nicole, what about, like I didn't really look very carefully at the designs for like the amphitheater and stuff. Do those involve like concrete slabs or, sitting or something? Or I guess my point, what I'm trying to get at is everything permeable? Are they building, hard surfaces that there's gonna be runoff and, is that something?
Yeah, that's a good point. I did comment on having using green infrastructure, like a rain garden and things to, manage any
okay.
of the impervious areas. I don't know what those walls can be anything. They can be like gabion walls with stone in them, or they could be paved, or they could be wood. I don't know what they would be.
Yeah.
It could be Aztec, they could be like that.
Right, yeah,
It could be
yeah.
that, and because that's literally sawdust and plastic and it will never degrade.
Yeah, it probably would have to be something pretty durable, but maybe the comment is that any impervious surfaces should be, treated with green infrastructure like, rain gardens and, things
Okay.
like that.
Yep.
We could put rain barrels on the
Yeah.
structure to get, to have some water that could be used with to water some of the flowers around it.
Yeah, and I mean, they're giving those out to people in
I
the
know,
town now,
I
so they
know.
ought to put them in themselves and maybe with a little instructional pamphlet there, or, a sign or something saying you too can have one of these.
Yeah,
Especially
Could-
after last summer, people might actually, well, I don't know, maybe they'd be more interested during a drought, but whatever. Okay. All right, and then I have a meeting with Michael next Thursday. I'd hoped to have it before this meeting, because there are a couple of things I wanted to have a discussion with him about. I've had a couple people asking me about when the open space plan is gonna be updated, and my understanding is it has to be updated in 2025. And one of the things I want to find out is, I'm assuming they're not expecting this committee to do it. I expect they hire consultants for that sort of thing, so. But what our role would be, I would like to have a sense of, and plus just because some people are asking me, like Pat Doherty asked and Carlton asked, and anyway, Carlton Hunt. So that's one thing, and I have the other, this kind of relates back to Wyman Meadows, but one of the things I need to talk to Michael about is we need some kind of an agreement with the Wildlands Trust folks about how the two adjacent properties and this joint hiking trail, et cetera, will be managed. Who's responsible for what, so that when those of us who didn't negotiate all this or didn't set this up, what we have in mind. We don't want to get into a situation where we got a new DPW director or something that decides to block that road off at the street in a few years or something like that. So anyway, we need to, I got to figure that out with him. That'll be a little bit of work, I think, because Wildlands Trust has to agree to it too. And I expect that it'll have to go to the town attorney. So, but we would like to get that done. I do have a list of other things I wanted to talk to him about, but a lot of them are probably things we've already discussed now. Well, one is I still am looking for some clarification, although it may just emerge from the Styles and Hart project as to how the signage is going to be handled, because we can't really do anything with signage until we know what the town wants the signage to look like, and they're supposed to decide that as part of the Styles and Hart project. So hopefully that will be something once maybe it will be taken off of our plate, which I don't think would be a bad thing if somebody else is just responsible for designing the signs. And I know Michael's very interested in doing that if help is wanted. So anyway, I'd like to get some clarification as to who should be pursuing that. I think we had the conversation with John Hart last time too, because he's not sure exactly what his role is with respect to signage, and I'm not really sure what ours is either. But at any rate, nobody wants to go ahead and then find that we're duplicating somebody's effort, or it's gonna happen as part of another project. So anyway, that's the only things I can think of at the moment. There were some others, but I'll tell you about them at the next meeting. So I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. All right, so next meeting is June 20th, time to be determined. Anything else? Any other order of business? Anybody? Anything not on the agenda?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you all for being here. Pat, as usual, Citizen of the Year, we're honored to have you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Pat.
Thank you. So
Yes, congrats.
Can I
Thank
have a
you.
motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second.
Yep.
All right. Okay, we are adjourned.
All right,
Thank you,
great.
everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.